All right, guys. Today we are going to go over how to make cool drinks mixes for a hot summer. So we are going to go through a couple of different ways that you can put together your own recipe, and I'll give you some examples of some recipes that I have either made up myself, tried to work with from somebody else, or some that I've gotten from an amazing woman. Her name is the Honorable Lady Elspeth Clerk, Becky Becker, if she's watching. She taught this class a couple of years ago. She calls the class Period Infusion Brewing. However, whether or not you participate in the SCA or not, you can still participate and do these things and certainly enjoy them. I love a great lemonade, actual naturally made lemonade, not an artificially flavored lemonade from the summertime. And some of the things that we're going to be making together are going to be pretty awesome. One of the first things they're going to work on is something that we call our iced lemon lavender juice. If you don't like lavender, you can certainly always infuse other things, like you can use a rose water or an orange blossom water. You can also use, where's some of the other floral? Oh, lemongrass. And then if you like dandelions, you can even do a dandelion infused one of these things. I would recommend, if you're using the dandelions, make sure that you don't use the leaves of the dandelions because they have a milky sap that will make your juice taste very bitter. But you can use both the stems, and the heads are the sweetest part. So if you use only heads, you'll get a really, really sweet concoction. So today, right now, if you want to come over here and zoom in, you can show them this. I'll turn on the light maybe so you can see a little better. So what you see right here is a pretty easy concoction. It was 2.5 cups of water, or parts of water, to 4 cups of sugar, and then 1 cup of vinegar. And in this case, I used an apple cider vinegar, which I think is one of the better flavored vinegars for something like this. Excuse me. This particular concoction, once it is cooled and once it has kind of diluted down a little bit, it's been cooking for about 20 minutes on a low simmer. You want it basically to create almost a syrup. Now, because you have 4 cups of sugar in here, it is going to take a little while, and you certainly don't want to do it high or else your sugar will burn. But once your solution, I guess, your liquid starts to trace, which it isn't doing right now, then you know that you're ready. If you don't know what the word trace means in terms of cooking, that is like when you're making Jell-O. Ooh, my hands are sticky. When you're making Jell-O and you're trying to obviously get it so it's sort of that gelatinous form, and you're moving your spoon through, when you start moving your spoon and your spoon is leaving a small trail, even if only briefly, that means you're beginning to develop your trace. So that's what we're looking for to happen on this one. Hopefully it will happen during this class, or it'll be very close to happening during this class, which is going to be about 45 minutes long. So we're going to just leave that one cooking, and then we're going to start working on another one. This mixture that I just told you about, that is 2.5 cups water, 4 cups sugar, and 1 cup any vinegar you want, but I recommend either a white wine vinegar or a apple cider vinegar, as I mentioned before. And then if you want a traditional way to sort of top it off or infuse it with just another extra kick, is to put in some fresh mint. So I have some from the store. I used to have a plant, but I killed it. So I'm not very good with not killing things. So what we'll do is we'll take the fresh mint, and then you can either chop, or actually what's better is for you to hand tear your herbs, because it's better for releasing the oils out of your respective things, whether it's mint, basil, dill, bay leaves, anything like that you might be cooking or making an infusion with. You want to hand tear over cutting, but cutting isn't the end of the world. So this one's going to keep cooking. Over here, we have probably 3 cups of chopped cherries. I got this from the frozen section of our grocery store. They were not pitted, which is fortunate. Otherwise, that's a big mess. And so what I'm going to do, this is actually one you're not going to get to see finished tonight, or today rather, because what I need to do is I need to put an equal part of sugar over it, and I'm going to let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. And then tomorrow, I will strain out all of the chunks of cherry. I guess you could leave them in if you really wanted to, but in terms of creating a syrup, you do need to come through. Lothar is armored up, so you can come in and say hi. So in terms of straining out a syrup or a liquid, you kind of want to strain out those things. And to do that, you can either use something like this, which is, what do they call these things? Splatter screens. So splatter screens, I got 2 different sizes. Thank you. 2 different sizes for I think $6.99, or you could use something like this, which is cheesecloth, or you could just use like plain old muslin cloth, an old t-shirt as long as it's clean, obviously. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to estimate I have 3 cups of sugar. You think so? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and just basically cover and mix this. I'm going to come on over. Clank, clank, clank. So it's going to seem like a whole lot of sugar, and it's even going to seem like that's too much sugar. It's not going to absorb all the juices, but trust me, overnight, it definitely gets absorbed. Also, this is an amazing topping over like an angel food cake, or what's that other thing? The little yellow, like when you make strawberry shortcake. Yes, a sponge cake. It's so good on.
Sherilyn says my 2 favorite colors on anyone. So pretty.
Oh, thank you. All right, stay here for a second. I'm going to grab a spoon. So much sugar. Now, I went ahead and chopped this with one of those like hand choppers. And if you're worried that it's not going to create enough syrup, you could always add just a little bit of water to the concoction. But I would recommend at least waiting a couple of hours to see what happens, because what's going to happen with your fruits, and you can do this with any fruits, but in this particular instance, we're going to make a cherry, vanilla, ginger concoction. So I definitely wanted to go with cherries as opposed to any other fruit because it sounded like an amazing combination. So what's going to happen is all the internal sugars and juices, and will create an amazing, I'm going to say elixir. That might not be the right word. But again, as Tom Leitz liked to tease me earlier, I am no Gordon Ramsay. I just make stuff that tastes good. I don't necessarily know what the things are called. If anybody knows the appropriate names, by all means, correct me. So obviously you're seeing a lot of the sugar itself. Now, to add the vanilla and to add the ginger, you can do it one of 2 ways. You could either take vanilla beans, if you can find them, either at your grocery store or you can buy them on Amazon. And you can soak them in just a little bit of water overnight. And you will basically infuse that flavor into the water. And then you can mix it in with your syrup and then end up basically boiling it down if your syrup is still too thick. Or you can cheat, like I'm probably going to do today because I couldn't find any vanilla beans at the store and I didn't get them in time from Amazon. I am going to use a pure vanilla extract. Oh my God, look at that. That sound is pretty gross though. It's moist. Did you know that like 64% of America hates that word?
Which is so weird because there's so many things that are
I know.
moist.
You know what word's grosser to me? Racism, hatred, bigotry. Those are disgusting words. So, okay. So, looks pretty good. At this point, you have enough light? Not much I can do about that. Sorry, guys. So at this point, I can add either the vanilla and or the ginger. Oh, the other part. So I talked about the vanilla extract, but then also you can find this at most grocery stores. Sometimes they'll have like a pasty garlic, they'll have a pasty ginger, they'll have a pasty lemongrass, and in this case, I've got the pasty ginger. I did actually look for why are you laughing? I did actually look for fresh ginger because I was going to soak the ginger root, but my grocery store didn't have any ginger, so I'm going to go ahead and mix just a little bit of ginger in there. I can't wait to hear what somebody's saying or said.
Nobody said anything. You said it.
What? Pasty?
Just keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to add probably what would be the equivalent of 1 tablespoon. So 4 little dollops would probably be roughly 1 tablespoon. Certainly, you can be smart and measure your things. I don't always do that. I think anything more than about a tablespoon or two for this amount, remember we used about probably 3 cups of fruit. I think anything more than a tablespoon or two might end up being really overwhelming and unpleasant, but certainly you can add to taste. So we're going to do that. So also the ginger gets a chance. The ginger gets a chance to mix in. Now, what do we do with this? Right?
Rusty ginger, that's me, Kiana says. That's what
Oh, Kiana, I love you. Did you see her video last night that she challenged her toaster to a duel? It was pretty cute. Made me laugh. So, what do we do with this syrup or concoction? Well, much like you do with a packet of Kool-Aid or a pre-made margarita mix or a like lemonade mix, you're going to go ahead and add it to the drink that you want to add it to. You can certainly add it to water. I really enjoy adding some of these things to like a Sprite or a 7-Up. Tonic water, seltzer is really good. Vodka, rum, and gin, if you like them, are really good. Tequila, you would have to be particular about some of the flavors that you're adding. So just think about, like, if I were to make a tea or if I were to make a mixed drink, what kinds of flavors would I like together? So this cherry, vanilla, ginger with some rum, I think would be pretty good, but also vodka would be pretty good. That's if you drink. If not, you could, like I said, a bunch of ice, water, and some of this syrup, is amazing. So the amount that you want to add, again, is going to be very much to your taste. I like things super sugary and super rich, so I tend to add a substantial, probably obscene amount of things. But the recommendation is usually the equivalent of about 2 to 3 tablespoons per 8 ounces of fluid. So you can see this is starting to get a little denser. It's certainly not tracing yet, but I can feel it on the spoon. Like there's resistance in here from the sugars as it's starting to melt down. So we've added the ginger into our cherry cocktail. Now we're going to add some vanilla. We're going to kill this bottle. I don't know how long it's been in the, cupboard, but it's time to get rid of it. And then I really like the flavor of vanilla quite a bit. And I think the cherries are going to be kind of hard to compete with, especially with the ginger too. So I'm actually going to, this bottle is 1 fluid ounce. I'm probably going to put about a half a fluid ounce for this total. Don't do that at home, kids. Total thing. So, yep, about a half a bottle. Now, the other nice thing about doing all the things that I'm going to show you today is that all of these things are basically going to create syrups, which means that they're shelf stable and they're perfect for going camping. You don't have to refrigerate them. You can if you want that sort of extra cold boost to your drink, especially if you are using tap water and your ice isn't getting things cold enough quickly enough for you. But once we strain everything out and we put them into bottles like something like this is actually a salad cruet. You could also use cute little fun bottles like these. These are for other things that were actually given to me by Verena. But you can find these sort of craft bottles at like a Joann's. Mason jars. You could use, let me show you one. Milk bottles. These were like $4.99, I think, at the store. And this big old thing, almost like a wine bottle, if you make a huge batch, and I have certainly done that before, I think it was only $5.99. So they're really great to travel with. They're easy to throw in with other things. Other ideas of things that you can put it in for easy traveling during camping, if you get like those portable like ketchup and barbecue bottles where you can squeeze things in, or sometimes people will put like sundae toppings in those bottles. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know what the word is for those things. Anyways, you can put your syrups in there and they travel really well. Just make sure you've got a lid for them. That's the only disadvantage to using the salad thing that I just showed you. That particular one doesn't have a lid, so we just have to be careful when we're traveling with it. Okay, that's doing well. So we've got our cherry, vanilla, ginger concoction. This needs to sit overnight. Then tomorrow we'll use the, I call them strainers, but technically they're splatter guards, so that we can push through as much of the liquid as possible. We'll probably do it in something like this. We'll put it here. We'll squish it down. We'll try to get all of the juices into here, and then we'll take those juices or that syrup and then put it into one of those bottles that we just showed you.
Cordial
Yeah.
said, when I made my violet syrup this spring, I just poured it into a wine bottle, cleaned obviously, that had a screw top lid, and it was just perfect.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And what did she make? What kind of wine?
Violet syrup.
Violets? I've never made that. That sounds really good. So that actually is a great segue, Corrine. We are going to go into our next one, which, if you want to come on over here and look, looks really weird. This is 3 cups of water and 1 cup of lavender buds. So here you can see, out of Amazon, make sure when you get your lavender buds that they're good for food uses, that they are food grade. Otherwise, they may have pesticides on them. These are great for teas. They're great for other herbal remedies, and certainly making a lemon lavender concoction. So you can kind of see, I mean, this is, the buds themselves have actually soaked up quite a bit of the fluid, and we're going to squeeze those out in just a second. But you can see that it's already, those buds have already begun to flavor the water. And we're going to mix this with lemonade to make a lemon lavender syrup, and we're going to enjoy today, that in the Sekanjabin. And maybe the other one we're making. So we now have the opportunity to use one of these strainers so you can kind of see what I'll be doing tomorrow with the cherries. I have already washed my hands. Let's use the smaller one. And I'm going to go ahead and put a paper towel down because this can be quite a mess. Take my spoon. I made sure to mix it quite thoroughly or quite frequently. Ooh. Yeah, so I'm kind of bending this so that the pressure goes down. So I made sure to mix it pretty frequently throughout the night so that the buds would get super, super soaked. Because watch what happens when I start pressing them. Now, when you use a cheesecloth, you can always just like put it into a big ball and then wring them out. And the recipe that I'm going to be using for this lemon lavender is 1 part water, 2 parts sugar, 1 part citrus, and then 1 part floral water. Now, I did put 3 cups in here, but I don't know that we'll get the full 3 cups out, so we'll measure that in a second. Like out, so I can this away real quick. You're fine. And then we're going to come back, pour some more. Oh, it smells so strong in here. The cherries were pretty distinct when you were up close to them, but when you walk into the house, the whole house smells like it was like very overpowering. So this is a pretty potent concoction. You're gonna taste the lavender quite a bit. You see how dark that is? That is good news. Sorry, I gotta reach in front of you for a second. Get out the rest of the lavender buds for the most part. Okay. And then we're gonna squeeze out the rest of them. So I do know that the buds still have some of the water, but we'll see how much water the 1 cup of buds absorbed. What does it look like?
Just 2 cups.
So I put in 3 cups of water. So basically a cup of water just went into the garbage, which is totally fine. But that's important to know because remember, you've got to do everything proportionately. So because I have 2 cups of the floral water, which is lavender, I need 2 cups of lemon juice. I need 4 cups of sugar, and I'll need 2 cups of water. The order of it in is kind of important. So we're going to be working with this. We've got this floral water. We're going to want to add this at the very end because nothing gets added into it. Because the longer you're cooking and simmering your concoction, the more you're cooking your floral water. If you add the lavender at the very beginning, you're going to actually start cooking the lavender throughout, which I did once, actually the first time, and it wasn't bad, but it definitely was sweeter and a more smooth finish when I did it the second time and I added the lavender in the third step instead of the first, because I figured, oh, well, the first step is diluting sugar into water, so why don't I just use the water that has the lavender flavor in it? And that's the reason why. So in this case, we have 2 cups. We need 2 cups of water. I'm going to get that from the sink. So come on over here. You'll watch all this. Aww. So, man, we're going to cook this on the back burner. I just leaned over that vinegar and got a big whiff of the vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
That's another point I guess I want to cover. So vinegar can be quite potent, right? Not everybody wants to drink vinegar. Why would you be putting vinegar in something? The reason you're putting the vinegar and the sugar, or you can put honey. You can substitute honey in any of these if that's your preference. Just make sure to use whatever the standard substitute to sugar. I just used sugar because it was super easy. So in this case, if you want to zoom in over here, you can see, not zoom, but it's going to look like maybe too much sugar, but it will melt and dissolve into the water real fast. So the first thing you want to do is dissolve the sugar. Just add a little bit more. Dissolve the sugar. I didn't get full cups. Are you laughing at me?
Yes.
You're going to want to dissolve the sugar. I don't know if you can see from here. It's a tall ask, I know.
Want me to stir it? Or you
I'll stir it.
Okay.
Because I'm trying not to snort up all this apple cider vinegar. So I have this on a medium-high heat. And we're going to leave that for a second. So,
Let me watch that.
I would say continue watching this as it melts so people can see. And then I'm going to pull out the next thing we're going to do. I might have a problem of doing too many things at once. How's it going? Good.
We're good.
All right. Yeah, so you guys can see it's kind of a slurry of sugar right now. And that's okay. As it gets closer to not a boiling point, this point it'll be, then it will start dissolving. All right, you want to come on over here?
Yep.
All right, so this has actually been sitting overnight. It is 1 whole cucumber that I made sure to skin and then slice up as thinly as I possibly could so that as much of the flavors and oils out of the cucumber will get into this water. You can actually drink this water just by itself. We made some cucumber water for ourselves over the week, and on a bunch of ice is amazing. One quick tip, if you're going to work with cucumber, you want to make sure to peel the skin off of the cucumber. Because the skin itself has more oils and different oils than what's inside the cucumber itself, kind of like the leaves of the dandelion plant that I mentioned you want to make sure to get rid of. You want to definitely skin it, otherwise it's not going to be nearly as sweet as what I was going to say the fruit of the cucumber, but the meat, the inside of the cucumber is. This has already been soaking overnight, and I think that there's 8 cups of water. We're not going to use all of it for the mixture, but we're going to use probably 2 of this. So we come over here. Here are our formulas, right? So we're doing the lavender water. We've got 2 cups of water. We'll do 2 cups of lemon. We'll do 4 cups of sugar and 2 cups of water. And right now the water and the sugar is in that other pan, and we'll wait to add these. We do fruits and veggies. You want 1 part fruit or veggie, 1 part sugar, 1 part vinegar, and then you can either add this to water or you can add it, like I said, adding this concoction to Sprite is, I'm going to say, hands down the best summertime refreshing drink. When you do a cucumber mint water and put it on some Sprite, it's amazing. Up here we have the citrus. That is, I don't know if we're doing one of these today. We're doing a vinegar. That's the Sekanjabin that's going. The citrus, we might skip the citrus, but it's 1 part water to 2 parts sugar, and then you add, so if you just want to basically do like a lemonade, 1 part water, 2 parts sugar, 1 part lemon juice, and then you're gonna boil it down or cook it down so that it is a syrup, so you can have it a shelf-stable thing. So that's your basic lemonade. For citrus juices, you can use anything that has a pH of 4 or less, and in that case, that's these. Lemon and lime are the obvious ones, and even though cranberry is not a citrus fruit, it is so acidic that it certainly works for that. You could also use things like plum, grapes, pomegranates, grapefruits. Pineapple, again, not citrus, neither is a peach, but they have a high enough acidity of their juices that you could use them in something like that. You could use blueberries or apples. So, what we're going to do with the last one, I'll turn on the back burner so it'll start. We're going to go ahead. This just had water in it before, so it's fine. I'm going to try not to get any of the cucumbers and try to get 2 just under. There we go. So there's just a couple of like teeny tiny cucumber fragments in here. That's not the end of the world. So I'm going to put 2 cups of the cucumber water in here. Then we need, and in this case, you're kind of mixing all these together. The cucumbers cooked don't really make a difference. In this case, instead of the apple cider vinegar, we're going to go ahead and use white wine vinegar, just because I think it gives it, the apple cider will kind of taint the cucumbers in my real flavor. So, thank you. Mandy's over there stirring things because I forgot. And we need to check on our Sekanjabin soon too, because I think it's about ready. There we go. All right, so we did 2 of cucumber. Go ahead and show them what you're doing there, actually. I'm getting close. I think we're pretty close. I'm thinking by the end of this class, we will be there. Any questions right now?
Negative.
Ooh, some white wine vinegar just splashed in my mouth.
Awesome.
And if you really hate the flavor of vinegar, you can certainly skip the vinegar concoctions, or you can add less vinegar and more sugar. But so that's almost exactly the bottle. So 1 whole bottle is the 2 cups. But the tanginess of the vinegar and the amount of sugar that you're putting in here usually is a pretty awesome balance. So we've got 2 cups cucumber water, 2 cups white wine vinegar. And now we'll do 2 cups of sugar. And we're going to get to cooking that one. I also added the cucumber water first in this instance because, ooh, we're getting real close. Can you see these bubbles here? See how the bubbles are starting to float on the top? Yeah, we're real close to tracing. But boy, is that strong when you put your nose over it. Okay, so today, oh, that's the back. So today we've already worked on 4 concoctions. We've got the basic water, sugar, apple cider vinegar, and at the very end, once this is done distilling down, we'll put in some mint. You always want to add your mint, your herbs at the end. First, so they don't cook, and second, that will give the opportunity for the oils of the various herbs that you're putting into your concoction to not go away. That's a mix. That's a basic Sekanjabin mix. You can add all kinds of things. Different infusions: mint, cucumber, ginger, clove, basil, peppercorn, turmeric, or if you like something more savory, you can do vanilla beans. You can kind of add whatever flavor you want. Then we've got the cherry, vanilla, ginger cordial, basically, that is going to be marinating overnight. We have the, what's this one? Oh yeah, thank you. The lemon lavender juice that's back here. And then back here we've got our cucumber, white wine vinegar, and sugar. And then I'm also going to be adding mint to this as well. So there's these how to kind of play around with things. Your basics that you're going to want to need in any of your things. Sugar absolutely goes in all of them. Sugar or honey. Then with the sugar or honey and the water to dilute that, you're going to want to add some kind of acid, whether that's a citrus juice or an acidic juice or a vinegar. The only one of those 4 things that I showed or a citrus juice is the floral. You can skip that one. If you just want a super sweet sugary drink, you can do that. And honestly, you can on all these, but I think that the acids, whether it's a juice or a vinegar, really help it. So just giving you 4 different recipes and 4 different ways that you can make this. You can mix and match with your sugars and your acids. You can add things, infusions like we just mentioned. And then, let me see if I'm forgetting anything. Rose, lavender, orange blossom, chamomile, lemongrass, dandelion we talked about are possible infusions. Oh, as for vinegars. So we've only used white wine vinegars. Yes, question?
Becky Becker says, or you can use a smoother vinegar like a Prosecco or a Pinot Noir.
That's where we were getting to. And Becky Becker, who I mentioned, I don't know if you were at the beginning of the class, I mentioned Honorable Lady Elspeth Clerk is the one who taught me how to get started on this. So thank you very much for getting me excited about this. And these are things that we have around the house all throughout the summer, whether or not we can go to camping events. So we're just going to talk about the vinegars you can use. You can use a red wine vinegar. That is going to be a little more wine vinegar, which also has a little bit of a grapey flavor, but it's, in my opinion, more bland and more apt to be used when you want other flavors to be the point of your drink. You can use a Pinot Noir and what was the other one she just said? Prosecco. I have not played with Prosecco. Becky, if you're on, can you explain to us what types of things would you use a Prosecco for? Because I don't know. But the Pinot Noir, I think, is like white wine, although it gives a richer, heartier flavor. You can use a rice wine if you want. I haven't really played with that too much. A malt wine if you want more of a nutty ale kind of flavor. And the other thing we love, combine it with the right things, is a balsamic vinegar. So, and I love balsamic vinegar on everything. So a balsamic and a strawberry and maybe a dash of some ginger. Ginger's another favorite of mine. I think would be pretty incredible. Did she have any feedback for the Prosecco? Okay. Are there any other questions at this point? Okay, I'm going to bring this forward to get off the heat for a second. It's hard to tell. Whew. But mostly at this point, the sugar has dissolved. And this is going to be our lemon lavender one. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add the lemon.
She said she uses Prosecco more for her shrubs.
Okay, what shrubs does she use with the Prosecco? Pear. So you can fresh squeeze your lemons, and if I had the time and the counter space for a class like this, I probably would. But in this case, we're going to cheat, kind of like we cheated with the vanilla and the ginger. You can do it the smarter, better, old-fashioned way, and I think the payoff is worth it. But we're also going to make do with our limited resources, and you might need to while you're camping as well. So here are some substitutions. Okay, there's our 2 cups of lemon. That's going to go in here. We're going to give that a little while to kind of make sure that peach and pear. Okay, that makes sense. I have not played with peach yet. And I played with pear, but it's not one of my favorite flavors, but I could totally see how the Prosecco would make more sense with the pear. I added the lemon into the water just to make sure that all the sugar was going to be sort of melted and dissolved down as much as possible. The water was actually, sorry, I got real close. The water was actually starting to boil away, so it needed a little bit more liquid so before things burned. So we're going to give that just a minute or two. Then we're going to go ahead and add in the floral water, which in this case is our lavender water that we soaked overnight. Let's check this one. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. So the reason you only want to achieve a small trace, and I made the mistake the very first time I did this, of waiting for this to be as thick as I expected it to be coming out of the bottle. Guess what? That thickens up even more when it's not hot. When it's hot, it's thinner. When it's cool, it's much, much thicker. So once this gets to the point where you can establish a trace and once it's out of the perfect thickness, ideally what you want it to do is basically be the thickness of like a syrup that you would put on pancakes, and not necessarily the super slow molasses thick heavy syrup, because that is kind of a pain in the butt to get to come out of your salad cruet or your mason jar. Easier when you've got like the squeezy barbecue or ketchup bottles, but still we are at 40 minutes in. We have another 5 or 10 minutes of the class. Are there any questions or ideas or things that you have tried before that I haven't mentioned that you think would be awesome to add? How many people are on? Okay. Oh,
I don't know, but I like peach anything. So
you like what?
peach. And the peach is the better.
What else would you add to the peach and Prosecco? Anything?
Can you just run over the recipes one more time? I'm trying to take notes.
Yeah, come on over here. Now remember, you can modify these as much as you want, but if you're doing something that is a citrus juice base, you want 1 part sugar or water, 2 parts sugar, 1 part your citrus or acidic juice, and then if you're going to have any kind of infusion, you just kind of add that in at the end. Then if you're going to do a vinegar like a Sekanjabin, you want 2.5 cups water, 4 cups sugar, and 1 cup vinegar, plus your infusion, like in this case, we're going to do mint. Now, earlier, Becky Becker or Elspeth Clerk talked about 1 part sugar, and 1 part vinegar. In this case, we did 2 cups of cucumber, 2 cups of sugar, and 2 cups of white wine vinegar. Plus, if you want to add anything, I mean, basically, you should be adding, this is what you're going to put it in to drink. Then for the floral waters, like rose water, orange blossom water, or lavender water, or violet water, as Corrine mentioned, you want 1 part water, 2 part sugar, 1 part your citrus or acid juice, and this option you can skip. And then 1 part or more floral water. Certain floral waters, like especially like an orange blossom water, tend to be strong, and so you might want just a little bit more of a potency for that. So those are the recipes. At some point, I'll probably throw them into like a 1-page handout, and then eventually we'll put some iteration of this video up on YouTube for people to watch, and it'll have a little handout as well. So, all right, let's check our, yeah, we're so close. Still not a trace, but there's so much density to that. Let me see if I can. It smells so good. I need 1 more. I need to stir this one back here. I don't remember which one this is. This is the cucumber, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. I just got a big whiff of cucumber when I started smelling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the lemon lavender water. All right.
Says thank you.
Thank you, Kiana, and thanks for hosting this. This is a great idea. So if there are no other questions, then let everybody go. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Hope you're able to celebrate in some way. Maybe get a little human contact. Make an excuse to go out grocery shopping if you are not in an immunocompromised situation, so you can have that little bit of social engagement. Thank you all for coming.